Hey, well done. You've made it. You've made it to the end of the week. How good are you? How good are you? Now, do you know what I've observed this week? What I've observed is I've come across people that are falling into two different distinct categories. There are people who are problem focused and people who are solution focused. So people who I think seem to love problems. Oh my God, they love them. I think they're looking for them. Right, so I think there's problem-based people out there who are very, very focused on the problems they've got. They want to smear them all over the world. They want to tell you all about their problems. They want to bring up your problems. They want to discuss the world's problems. Anything to do with the problem, they are fucking on it, man. They're on it. All over it. Isn't that interesting? It's like they're programmed to seek out problems. And I reckon that the problem with looking for problems is you feel very powerless because you're always in a position where a problem appears to have power over you. And so you don't seem to have enough power to overcome the problem, or you don't think you do. Right? Now, this is all about thinking. You know, the mind is a magical thing, isn't it? And I met this woman this week. Well, she was so committed to her problems. She had signed up to a daily intake of problems, and she was just really committed to them. She was committed to being unhappy. She wanted the world to be unhappy. She was like, she pretty much was of the opinion that, the world is going to hell in a handbasket and I'm fucking taking everyone down with me. I'm on it. And I was mortified. She was just negative about everything. And I thought, whoever has to work with you, there's not enough money in the world for that shit. We've got to be so careful of our attitudes because I think they're more contagious than COVID. When you hang out with someone who really sinks your energy, who is really powerless and whinging and lives in the victim corner of the drama triangle, they're just always in that corner of being a whinger. And it's just exhausting. And I think, in my experience, the greatest way to handle those people is to say, and what can you do about that? Oh, they'll look at you. They'll look at you like you're made of poo. They will give you a poo-poo face look because they'll be like, what are you bloody talking about? I just said we've got this massive problem that me. And you're like, and what could you do about that? They're like, what? Me? Nothing. Now, their whole problem is me nothing. That's their whole problem. They think there's nothing they can do, right? I am a very glass full kind of human, so I always think there's something I can do. And I think I'm a very solution-based person, and I love solution-based people. People, instead of people saying, oh, I can't afford it, it's like they say, how can I afford it, right? Because, often we come up against something, using that example, where we go, I really want to do this, but I can't afford it. And there's a difference between, I can't afford it, and I can't afford it right now. I can't afford it this month, right? But I can afford it in 3 months' time. Or if I stopped spending money on, I don't know, chocolate, alcohol, cigarettes, vapes, whatever your secret thing is, shoes, whatever the thing is, what's the thing that you went, you know what, if I just went without that for 3 months, I'd save enough money to have that thing. And so it's about being curious and going, how can I have that? Not I can't. Because when you say I can't have something, the universe listens and goes, right, well, let's make her right. Let's make her right. So people who are really problem focused tend to be quite powerless because they actually do think that the problem has defeated them. Whereas when you are solution focused, you're very capable and happy because you have power, you are empowered. So you are full of power because you believe that you have the ability to be in charge of where you're going, to be in charge of what you can and can't do. Isn't that cool? So just think about that for a moment. How do you feel right now? Are you feeling problem focused or solution focused? And it's very easy to slip down the bank of problems. Oh, it's a slippery, slidey slope, and just go, do you know what? It's too hard. And maybe you're feeling that. Maybe you're feeling the fatigue of the first half of the year and you're going, oh, it's just too hard. It's too hard. There's too many problems. I'm going to bed. Right? Maybe you're feeling like that. Or maybe You're going, "Purr, purr, purr, purr. I am a solution-focused person." You'll be driving all the other people around you nuts, right? But you will be very, very positive and looking for ways to make things happen. Like, I just love that. I love hanging out with people who are up to something, and I love hanging out with people who believe they can solve problems. Because if you believe you can solve problems, you are already halfway there, my friend. You can. Isn't that so good? I just love that. One of the things my dad taught me, my dad is what people would call a barrow boy. I'll just tell you, he would have sold my mother if he thought he could have got a profit. He fucking sell anything. And he was the first person I ever learnt sales from. So I went out, I was desperate to work with him. And he's a menace, but he's extraordinary at sales, like extraordinary. And we went out selling, and my first ever sales experience was with him. And a man said, no, I'm not buying. I have no budget, I think was his exact words. And I had bags of samples. So I bent down on the way in. My father briefed me. He said, "Don't speak. Don't say a word. Follow my lead." No problem. I thought, right, I've been in training 22 years for this shit. I'll be good. So I did as I was told. I smiled. I nodded. I carried the bags. I listened. I didn't make any sudden movements. The man said, "No, thank you. We are out of budget and are not buying anything at the moment. We are not buying any stock this month." So I was like, righty-ho, it's all over. Bent down, picked up the bags. My father went, "Ah," put the bags down. I was like, "Oh, what?" He just gave me this filthy look which said, "Put the bags down right now. Put the bags down." Then my father asked a genius question. He said, "How can I turn your no into a yes?" The man said, "What? What do you mean?" He said, "How can I turn your no into a yes?" He said, "Oh, well, no, but I'm not buying. I haven't got any money to buy anything." And my father said, "No, you're not buying this month. But what if we sold you a whole lot of product and we post-dated it? And what if we invoiced you next month?" Oh, the man said, "That'd be great." We walked out with a $10,000 order, right? Now, not everyone has as much gumption as my dad, but I love the idea of how can I make your no a yes. So imagine you've got something to ask someone. You ask them and they say no. "No, we're not doing that. No, we're not coming. No, we're not going there. No, we're not interested." Right? How can I turn your no into a yes? It's a good question, isn't it? What would it take? Because sometimes people don't need much to turn a no into a yes. Sometimes it's just, "Oh, well, I can't, but I can't on Monday, but I can on Tuesday," right? Sometimes it's just tweaking the date. Sometimes it's tweaking the time. Sometimes it's, "I'd love to do this, but I can't this month. I can't in the mornings. I can only do it in the afternoons," whatever it is, right? So I think it's worth considering that. And if you're really solution focused, you will ask, how could we create a solution that worked for both of us? Conversation starters like that are so useful. And I think about that. So if you've got something at the moment, a problem, I want you to think about, what is a solution? What's the most creative solution you can come up with? Just brainstorm with yourself. If anything was possible, how would you like this problem solved? Think about that. Then think about, who is the person that's in the way of your problem being solved? Who is the person that's saying no, or the person that won't commit, or the person that is not coming to the party that you need them to come to get this to be a solution? And what do they need to turn their no into a yes? I think they're good questions. I think about that all the time. So if someone doesn't want to do something, it's about, how can we work around that? And believing, even if you don't get people to do, you can't go around getting everyone to do everything you want, do you? You'd be a master manipulator and no one would probably hang out with you. So, you'd have no friends. But I think just believing that you are solution-based, believing you can find a solution to a problem, I think just believing that's enough. So how about you take the biggest problem you've got right now in your mind and spend some time today thinking about, what's a good solution? What's an average solution? What would be just a fine solution? What would clean it up? Because when you have problems and you haven't resolved them and you haven't got to a yes or a no or some sort of closure, they are an open energy loop. And that loop leaks emotional energy. So I quite often have loop closing ceremonies where I think, right, I need to bloody close some loops because I've got energy. I've got things hanging up in the air that aren't quite finalised. Bring them down and seal them off, those energy loops. So there you go. That's what I'm observing today, the difference between problem solvers and solution finders. And I'd love you to consider yourself a solution finder. Have a great day.